Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Bradon Coy, and I'm an undergraduate entomology student at the University of Florida and founder of the entomology education nonprofit organization known as Lil Dudes Insect Academy. I would love to meet all of you, so please come find me before I leave today so that we can exchange cards. Now, enough with the small talk, because today I want to talk about something that I don't really talk about enough: my disability. I say I don't talk about it much because if you look at my social media channels, you might have to dig quite deep to even notice that I'm in a wheelchair, much less an explanation as to why. And it's not that I try to hide it or that I'm ashamed. It's that I think bugs are just much more interesting to talk about and show online, which is what my nonprofit is all about. I honestly believe that my disability is kind of the least interesting thing about me as a person. Now, don't hear me wrong. I'm not embarrassed or uncomfortable talking about it, but I probably won't bring it up unprompted unless someone asks. So, in short, I don't make it a big part of my outward identity. And a while back, someone actually told me that they didn't even know that I was disabled until they met me at an ESA conference. So that just kind of shows you how much of my identity I make it part of. And when I was asked to be a part of this symposia, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I really did not want it to be like a pity party, but rather an informative perspective on people with disabilities. And thanks so much to my fellow presenters. That's what it's really becoming. And so the big question today is, how can something that I have, that I struggle with every single day, be kind of placed on the back burner of my mind? And today I'm going to figuratively walk you through my experiences as a disabled person in a field and society that is slow to adapt. So as a young kid, the first thing that I knew, yes, even before my disability, was that bugs are fascinating. As long as I can remember, that's what I thought about the world. And at the age of 3, I began tromping around my backyard in search of these critters. And by 5, I had amassed a bit of an insect collection. As I still do today, I breathed, dreamt, and maybe unintentionally ate insects. But my childhood was not purely a fairy tale full of frolicking and discovery. Because when I was 7, my parents received the definitive diagnosis: Duchenne muscular dystrophy, also known as DMD. DMD is a severe, progressive, X-linked recessive neuromuscular disorder and the most common form of something called muscular dystrophy. The root of this condition is a genetic flaw, specifically a mutation in the DMD gene that prevents my body from producing a critical protein called dystrophin. Think of dystrophin as the essential shock absorber or anchor for muscle fibers. Its job is to physically hold the muscle cells together during the powerful stress and contraction and relaxation. Without it, the muscle cell walls become weak, fragile, and rupture under normal use. Fun fact about me, well, I guess maybe not fun, but interesting fact about me, I have a 1 nucleotide deletion at the beginning of my gene, and at the time of my diagnosis, I was one of 2 people in the world that had the exact same deletion. So this mechanical failure initiates a very slow, relentless process. Every time I move, my muscle cells suffer tiny, repeated injuries that trigger their death. The body tries desperately to repair them, but it's a losing battle. Over time, the dead muscle tissue is permanently replaced by scar tissue and fat, a process that drives the clinical meaning of the disease: progressive, irreversible weakness. The devastating nature of DMD is that it does not stop at the large muscles we use for movement. It is a multisystemic disorder that relentlessly attacks the essential muscles we never consciously think about. This includes the muscles we use for breathing, leading to respiratory failure, and critically, the heart muscle, leading to cardiomyopathy, which are now the primary life-limiting factors of the disease. For me, this molecular breakdown manifested in a clear personal timeline of loss. The weakness started in my hips and legs and meant that the fun of running and climbing was slowly taken away over time. This functional decline led to the loss of independent ambulation, necessitating my reliance on mobility devices by the age of 13. A permanent transition that affects my daily existence. While this pathology affects my muscles, the spirit and the mind are what must adapt and persevere. DMD is as much of a mind game as it is a physical battle. All throughout my childhood and into my young adult years, I have been told that I can't. As a kid, my doctors said I couldn't play sports, I couldn't ride a bike, I couldn't go on hikes, and so on. Now, of course, I did all those things because myself and my parents refused to listen. And later on, I was told that I shouldn't travel. I flew across the country to get here this week, by the way. I likely would never live alone, and I could not be an independent adult. When experts are telling a young kid that they can't do something, they begin to believe them. But in my experience, it's pretty amazing what you can actually do when you just ignore those who tell you otherwise. So I did all those things. I've traveled all over the country, even out of country. I've been living independently for over a year now, and I moved across the country for college to a place where I have no blood family. So now that you all know a little bit of my story, I want to talk about how my strong support system and approach has allowed me to succeed, and how you as peers and professionals can leverage these lessons to build a more inclusive field. Number one, recognize and support the whole community. Humans are obligately social creatures, and we heavily rely on human connection. This goes for anyone, disabled or not. One of the main reasons I've been able to do the things that I have done is because I have a strong support system and family and friends. They are the ones who have pushed me to do the things that seem impossible. And I'll be honest, a lot of the things for the average person are simply more expensive and time-consuming for me to take part in. Take moving across the country, for example. It required asking the right questions in advance, taking a tour of the school, bringing both my parents for move-in, and shipping some equipment ahead of time. So here's where your role is. Don't assume a task is simple for everyone. When organizing a field trip, a lab setup, or even a local event, recognize that time and cost overhead is often higher for your disabled colleagues. Offer to help pool community resources and help together and minds together to solve problems, rather than simply offering a surface level solution. Number two, take advantage of and champion the systems in place. So this is my opportunity to praise the University of Florida, where I'm a student, because that school has it figured out, at least in my experience. One of the main things I was looking for in a school to attend was accessibility. And UF has an amazing accessible dorm facility, a paratransit system for students, and a disability resource center. During my first semester, I was taking an introductory entomology course, and the first exam was coming up. And remember, I've been hyperfixated on bugs since I gained consciousness, so I figured I had it in the bag. And the exam had a large portion of essay-style synthesis questions. And I had all the answers in my head, but I didn't have enough time to write out longhand to the level my professor was expecting. Long story short, I got a C-, and I lost my mind. I was like having an identity crisis because I've known this stuff since I was 10 years old. But because of my hands, I wasn't able to write fast enough. And so I went to my fantastic professor, and not to get a better grade, but to explain what happened. And then I went to the Disability Resource Center, met with a specialist, and got the accommodations that I needed. And the very next exam, I got an A. So it was proven that I knew the things that I knew, but just needed more help. So here's your role. We have blind students, students with limb differences, and students like myself with mobility needs, and that's a really great thing. The key here is that you must ask for help. As faculty or leadership, you must actively champion this process. Normalize the process of accommodation. Make it clear that if a student or colleague is accepted into the university, your department will do everything to ensure they are successful there. Actually, yesterday, we had to make sure that the stage was accessible, and that happened because I asked about it, right? So you just have to make your needs known. Finally, sometimes it's necessary to say, this is not okay. The tough reality of living with a disability is that you need to learn to adapt because the rest of society is unlikely to. I have so many stories from traveling, including being stranded at airports and having my power chair wrecked by the airlines. And so I have lots of stories about this. And so sometimes it's really just okay in that moment to say, no, this actually isn't okay. And that, explaining what you actually feel. So here's your role. Whether it's dealing with the medical system, trying to get proper care for equipment, or simply the way a colleague is treated, it's okay and actually necessary to say that something isn't okay. When you witness an act of inaccessibility or disrespect, your voice carries weight. Use it to advocate, push back, and demand better standards as so the burden of complaint doesn't always fall on the person being affected. Here we go. There we go. Final thoughts. I've been talking about how I overcame this and solved this problem, but I need to be honest with all of you. This is all kind of a complete lie. I can't sit up here and in good faith tell you that this is all my doing. I can only point above and say that my personal faith has really helped me in this journey as well. My personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And listen, I don't know where you are with the Lord today, but what I do know is that he loves each and every one of you very much, and he wants to so badly to have a personal relationship with you. All of us in the room today, disabled or not, will have suffering and trials in this life, and the only way that I've been able to endure mine is because of the hope and joy that the Lord gives me every day. Now, regardless of your personal beliefs, please take these 3 things away. Support the community, champion the systems of accessibility, and don't be afraid to say that this is not okay. Together, we can build a stronger, more inclusive, and more innovative field of entomology. Thank you very much, and I have maybe no time for questions. I'll come back at the end. Thank you. Thank you very much.